All right, we have made it to Super Bowl week, and the NBA has curb-stomped some of the conversation. That's how we welcome you to this edition of Overreaction Monday here on the Rich Eisen Podcast Network. However you get your podcasts, we appreciate whether you're watching us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, or getting us wherever you get your podcasts. Rich Eisen, Chris Brockman,
hey, Rich.
Good to see you
What's
over
up,
there,
man?
Christopher.
What a weekend.
Yeah. I know.
I'm glad I was awake for the Saturday night chaos in the NBA, because normally, 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm kind of getting in bed, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, okay.
Boom.
Here we go.
TJ texted the group, which, by the way, is a monster development to begin with, almost as big as the trade.
Right, that's a weekend victory.
He
for
texted
us.
from Royal Rumble, where, by the way, if you're taking in this podcast, No Contest Wrestling was at Royal Rumble in Indianapolis over the weekend.
What a show. That was awesome.
My goodness, what a weekend indeed. So lots to react to or overreact to. Hit it.
That was terrible. That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction Monday.
All right, Christopher, you've got the floor.
Hey,
I'm interested
Rich.
to see what
What's
you want to
happening?
lead with right here.
We're going to lead with Super Bowl.
Okay.
Obviously, it's Super Bowl week. A lot of people in our industry are in New Orleans, making their way to New Orleans.
And then on after Tuesday's
That's
flagship show, we're all hopping a flight. We're going to emanate from Super Bowl experience for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Super psyched. Going to be great. For me, Super Sunday, Rich, it's all about 26. He's been the story of the NFL season for me. I think he should be the MVP. And I think Saquon Barkley is going to tie or break multiple Super Bowl records on Sunday.
Now, you're saying, are you saying the big one, the Timmy Smith one? Are you saying over 200 yards rushing? Is that what you're saying? Because it seems like you're walking up to the edge here and you don't want to step over it. So what are you saying? What are the records that you think he is setting?
I'm saying Timmy Smith is in play, 205. I'm saying Fast Willie Parker, 75-yard touchdown run in play. I'm saying 3+ touchdowns in play. All of it's in play for Saquon Barkley. This has been his season. I think when we look back on this year, he is what we are going to remember most about the 2024 season. And I think he's going to have a huge day.
I don't think that's an overreaction. Although Kansas City, as we discussed last week on the flagship show, has faced 4
They've been great against the run.
top 10
Right.
rushers this year. And Derrick Henry in week 1, all the way through to that scare in Carolina. Chuba Hubbard had the best day out of all of them.
Yep.
And they did, the Chiefs keep Chuba Hubbard less than 60 yards. He flirted with 60 yards, which was the most anybody's gotten. But this guy is number 1 coming in and has shown nothing but big playability in nothing but the big moments of the season, whether it is week 1 in Brazil or it was in Baltimore after rushing for over 200 yards and accounting for 300 yards here in Los Angeles on a Sunday night. He then goes to the bank and breaks it. So I don't think it's an overreaction to say that he has set himself up for a massive finale in front of the biggest audience American sports can offer. So I don't think this is an overreaction. I don't think, this is a statement that say that he will do it. But
And look,
one of the
we've talked about it. The Chiefs defense has been awesome this year, but the Eagles roster is so loaded with playmakers on offense. You're going to play man against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert really heating up. I just think it's his time.
It very well could be. I guess it all depends on how the refs want to massage it. So,
Those
it
are your
all comes
words.
down to
Those
that.
are your words,
No,
not
those
mine.
are Bill Burr's words.
Oh, that's true, too.
That you wholeheartedly agree with.
I don't think that's an accurate
Okay,
statement. but
very good.
I can't wait for the Chiefs haters.
By the way, he was blowing up my cell phone all weekend long to say the NBA is massaging things now in favor of the Lakers because things are too boring.
I would believe the NBA is more massaging than the NFL. I don't think the NFL is massaging at all, but the
word.
NBA, I would think, yes, it's possible. It's very possible.
How do we get onto that subject?
You brought up massaging. I don't
Okay, very
know.
good.
Look, we're going to talk NBA at the end.
Okay.
All right. How about this one? The Super Bowl hangover, I think, is real. We saw it with the 49ers this year, whether you want to attribute injuries to hangovers.
The Eagles the year previous.
And the Eagles the year previous. The loser on Super Sunday is going to miss the playoffs next season.
That's crazy talk, man.
It's just the way it goes.
That's crazy talk.
The Patriots are the only loser to go the next year and win it. It's just a thing. You lose the Super Bowl, it takes a lot out of you playing in the playoffs and getting this far, and the emotional energy that's spent. It's a real thing.
I see what you're saying. I don't think when McCaffrey dominated overtime only to have Chris Jones blow up the third down play inside the red zone, forcing the Niners, who surprised everybody by taking the football first in overtime and then settling for a field goal. I don't think anybody there thought after the Chiefs inevitably scored the touchdown to win it all.
Oh, when they settled for a field goal last year, you knew the Chiefs were winning it. Right?
Nobody would have sat there and thought, well, there goes the Niners season next year, because McCaffrey's going to have not one but two Achilles tendonitis injuries to deal with.
We're just assuming McCaffrey was going to be good this year, whether he was healthy or not. I mean, look, you spend all the offseason, that's just a long 6 months.
No, I get it.
Thinking about all the what ifs, especially when you come as close as San Francisco did last year.
But the Eagles, I guess I could sit here and say the Eagles hangover dealt with two new coordinators that were not up to speed.
Remember, Jason Kelce told us, like, they were 10-1 and they were the most miserable team on the planet because they lost the Super Bowl the year before.
I'm just going to push back on it and say these teams are too damn talented. Now, if the Chiefs lose the game and then Kelce, because he does in fact retire, because that's going to be I hope Travis Kelce gets ready for that all week. That's going to be all the questions he gets. Either one about his future, and the other will be his future as a bachelor. You know what I mean? Like those are going to be the two questions he has asked of him all week long.
Is that the number 2 storyline after the three-peat?
Well, I've got a top 5 storylines of the Super Bowl week coming up on the Monday flagship show.
Of course you do.
So that's what's coming up.
Attaboy.
Yeah, thanks, pal. But this is an overreaction, bud.
I figured you'd say that, but I wanted to get it out there anyway.
Okay.
How about this one? We talked to Andy Reid on last Friday.
Yes, we did.
We talked to Big Red. Win or lose, Andy Reid's on the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches with Belichick, Lombardi, Bill Walsh.
You're forgetting Don Shula there. Now,
Andy Reid already has more Super Bowls.
The fact that he's on the Mount Rushmore is not an argument. Now, I know that means I need to figure out who else is on it.
Oh, so you're taking Bill Walsh off?
Yeah, I guess I am.
Oh, wow.
I guess I am.
Father of the modern NFL offense.
I get it. I understand it.
Wow.
And I know what I'm saying. Dude, Don Shula has more wins than any other human being on the planet.
Don Shula has less Super Bowl wins than all those guys.
Okay. But the first part of it is not an overreaction. Andy Reid's there, man. It's unbelievable, too. The fact that...
It's great.
Dude, I'm telling you.
He's the man.
When NFL Network first came on the air and we watched, I think that was the FredEx playoff. 4th and 26.
4th and 26.
Yeah. And the Eagles then made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, only to lose to Jake Delhomme and the Carolina Panthers. Was just the latest moment of the Eagles hitting their ceiling. If there was an overreaction Monday, then
I would have had Andy Reid fired.
You would have
fast,
or that the Eagles have hit their ceiling with Andy Reid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you would have had that as a statement the next year,
right when they did it again,
when they lost in the Super Bowl, to New England, and the conversation was all about Andy Reid just spitting the bit at the 2-minute mark of every close game. Clock management, didn't know when to call timeouts, didn't have the proper plays in the shoot, didn't have the gumption for Philadelphia. He was too nice a guy. All of that when he was in Philadelphia. And then he winds up getting replaced by the new offensive coordinator of the Las Vegas Raiders, which, by the way, was a very good hire in Chip Kelly.
Agree with that.
And then the front office gets blown up, and he winds up going to Kansas City and is, in my estimation, the personification of a roadmap that's placed in front of Mike Tomlin to say, do you want to find your next spot out of the state of Pennsylvania to continue on your path? Because take a look at this guy. Now, we do have Clark Hunt on Monday's flagship show as well. I want to talk with him about the courtship of Andy Reid, and obviously connecting him with Alex Smith was a smart move, and then drafting Mahomes changes the entire dynamic of
Remember,
this.
that was fast. Andy Reid didn't sit out. He was let go from Philadelphia, and I think it was very shortly thereafter scooped up by Kansas City.
The quintessential being five minutes unemployed,
Yeah.
which is what Tomlin would be. But this is not a Tomlin question. This is an Andy Reid question. He is 100% when he takes the field on Sunday, officially in my mind, on the Mount Rushmore. Well, he'll be in his 6th Super Bowl. He will also be coaching his 45th playoff game, which is one more than Belichick now for most all time. And he's just only going to add to it over and over and over again.
you go...
He will be the only member of the 50 playoff coached
for
50
sure.
playoff games coached
He'll
club.
probably get to 60.
I don't know if there'll ever be
honest.
another one that gets that.
So you're
far.
going Belichick, Lombardi, Reid, Shula.
I kind of think,
Oh, interesting.
I will do that.
Interesting.
You know, and then make way for Aaron Glenn one day, you know.
And Mike Vrabel.
Look at us having hope for the future.
Rich, all we have is hope, my man. Okay, Rich, let's move on. That's enough about the game. Let's hit some topics here in the NFL. Right before we started recording,
that's right.
You didn't see this from Cleveland, Ohio. Myles Garrett requesting a trade from the Browns.
How about this line? While I've loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It's always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. And so then he puts one more bold line. It says it's in bold. With that in mind, I've requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett. I don't know, man. This is in the NBA. So
Star players get their wish, usually, no matter the sport.
I get it. But I don't know. It's the starting price for him is at least 2 ones, right?
And a team will gladly give that up.
You think so, do you?
Yeah, as an edge rusher in his prime, guy's going to the Hall of Fame. Reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Case to win it this year.
In his prime, the Grim Reaper.
Rich.
At least 2 ones.
At least two ones. Probably 4 picks, probably overall, I'm guessing. Maybe a player. Rich, here's the overreaction. Myles Garrett will win a Super Bowl before anyone in the AFC North.
You don't even have his destination
Doesn't
yet.
matter. We know that he's going to a team that can contend and win a Super Bowl.
Let me ask you this question. He goes to Denver.
Oh, baby. Let's
Don't
go.
win a Super Bowl before
Let's go.
anyone in the AFC North. Before Burrow, before...
Those
it's
guys
still a
can't
quarterback
beat, those guys
driven
can't
league.
beat Patrick Mahomes.
Hold on a minute.
And Bo Nix just proved he's a top...
This is great.
Top half of the league
By
player.
the way, outstanding job, because we're how many minutes into this pod? About 15 minutes into this pod. You learned this news 20 minutes ago.
Right.
That's how fresh this is.
Yes.
And you came up with this. You said to me, I got to put something in. I don't know what. And I said, just go into your inner hot take and
Yes.
come up with something. And this is outstanding.
This is what
You're
we came
really
up
good
with.
at this, dude.
Thanks, Rich Eisen.
You know,
Appreciate that.
So I'm going to flip it.
What do you mean?
I'm going to flip it.
You're
And
reacting
send it to you.
Well-
No, I'm reacting to you to see
okay.
to come up with it. I'm phoning a friend.
Okay.
Okay, and you're
All
my
right.
friend.
I'm the friend.
And so that's why I said he goes to Denver.
Yeah.
You think Denver with Bo Nix
Yes.
will win a Super Bowl before Burrow and Lamar Jackson or anybody, right?
Well, Lamar Jackson, is less than in the playoffs.
Okay.
I think we can all
How
agree
about
with
this?
that.
How about this? Let's say the Chargers get him. Justin Herbert. Does
Ooh.
he give Justin Herbert a Super Bowl?
Are they
you
also-
you love saying
I
Justin
love
Herbert.
slagging on Herbert.
You like him,
I do really like him.
but you like slagging on him more than him.
That's fun, too. Do they get a receiver in free agency of the draft?
No.
What do you mean?
We're boxing it in. Myles Garrett
Are we
will win a
helping?
Super Bowl before any AFC North team. Now you're saying what help does
Hold
he
on.
what help does he get?
The Chargers' biggest need is offensive weapons, right? So I assume they're going to do that. But
Does it matter if they go-
also get Myles Garrett?
Who?
The Chargers.
Yes.
So they get the help on
I don't know
offense,
how they get it. I don't know how they get. Well, of course,
and they also get Myles Garrett.
You just said it's a Myles Garrett game. I'm now flipping it on you.
Okay.
And interesting how you're trying to widen the net.
Well, I mean,
Do you think
Teams
if the
have specific
Chargers
needs.
get him, how about this one? Let's say all of a sudden, Jerry Jones says, I need me. See?
well, we know that
Well, how do
Jerry
you
Jones
mean?
isn't going to do this.
How do you mean?
What, are they just going to trade
Okay.
Micah Parsons for Myles Garrett, or they add?
Does it matter? You're just saying he goes. He goes somewhere.
I'm saying wherever he goes, he's definitely winning before the North.
What if the Texans get him?
Cleveland
What if
is
the
not.
Texans get him?
Now we're talking. That's fun.
You think the Texans win a Super Bowl?
Yeah,
They'll make their first ever Super Bowl
They
and
bring
win
back.
it.
They bring
That's what I'm
back Steph
saying.
Diggs. Tank Dell is healthy. Suddenly they shore up the offensive line a little bit. Now you got Daniil Hunter and Myles Garrett and Will Anderson.
What if the Dolphins get him?
Well, then no chance.
See, that's why I'm saying this is an overreaction.
But you're giving me
makes
the
them better.
You're giving me the field against two teams. Because we know Pittsburgh is just going to lose in the first round.
Dude,
Cleveland
this
isn't
guy-
even going to make the playoffs.
this guy.
Lamar Jackson is less than in the
Okay.
playoffs. You're really going against one
Okay.
team. It's literally
Okay.
just Joe Burrow, but he might lose
I need to
both
see-
his wide receivers.
This is my point to you. I need to see where he goes first, how much they have to cough up, because those assets they need to actually supplement, unless he's the last piece.
What if he goes to the Bills?
Yeah, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
What about the Commanders?
Yeah.
What if Howie's on the phone right now?
Myles Garrett. I guess technically he now does go to an SEC school, so that makes him eligible. You know,
It's fun.
he can turn a team
fun.
into a Super Bowl champion prior to an AFC North team. Yes. Because
fun-
guess what?
it's fun to think about.
I like the fact that you said any AFC North team, because the price that we said, at least 2-1s, doubles for any team within the AFC North to actually go get them. Like Browns would send
right.
Browns are going to send them to another conference anyway.
I would imagine it'd be an
They'll
NFC
send them
team.
the NFC team.
But then-
Commanders, that's an interesting choice, pal.
Commanders should be on the phone
Lions.
immediately.
Lions.
Ooh, him and Hutch, look out.
Lions. Not a bad one. Not a bad one. Certainly if your ones are going to be in the 30s, right?
Right.
Deep 20s,
Right.
low 30. Good one, Chris.
Myles
See,
Garrett.
look at you coming
fun.
up with this off the top
It's
of your
fun.
head.
It's fun.
What
All
else
right,
you got?
here's a couple more.
Okay.
How about this one? We're going to be talking a lot about free agency, quarterbacks, destinations. A team would be better off signing Russell Wilson than Sam Darnold in free agency.
Did you watch the Pro Bowl games? Is that why you're saying this?
I watched a little bit of the Pro Bowl games.
Dude, my 13-year-old Coop comes into my office, okay, because I'm getting ready for a whole bunch of stuff. Taylor's also not feeling her best over the weekend.
Something going around.
So I'm not watching the Pro Bowl games. So I'm watching like one of the Mandalorians with her or something. So he comes in, he goes, Dad, Russell Wilson looks really good today.
It's flag football.
He also said he
but-
threw a duck to Brock Bowers. I'm like, does he not look good? He goes, no, actually he looks really good today. He then says Sam Darnold threw a couple of interceptions. So is this an overreaction to the Pro Bowl
I also
flag
think-
football game?
I also think it's a price thing. You're going to be able to get Russ for half the price, probably. And you're going to get, I'm guessing, about the same production. And you're going to get a proven leader and Super Bowl champion. And I think that Darnold might have been a one-off this year.
How come the Darnold final 2 weeks trumps the final 6 weeks for Russ in your mind? How come the first 16 weeks of the NFL regular season for Sam Darnold gets wiped out by the final 2 and the final
And the Pro Bowl games.
Okay, thank you. And the final 5-6 weeks of a once upon a time 10-3 team taken from 4-2 to 10-3 by a guy who got hurt in training camp. See, I'm trying to put the least possible.
I get it.
The least possible rosy spin on it.
In Sam Darnold's career, I've
saying.
seen him
Okay.
literally play like 10 good games.
But you've seen
and
Russ's
I've seen
last
Russ
three.
play about 70 good games. And give him an offensive head coach, and let's see what he could do.
Well, he'll definitely be less expensive.
Definitely
Notice I
gonna
didn't say cheaper.
Definitely going to be less expensive.
I don't think this is an overreaction. I also don't think Sam's walking. I
think he's staying in Minnesota.
We got JJ McCarthy on tomorrow's show, on Tuesday's show. And I don't think, there's going to be much that he's going to be able to add to the conversation right now.
Right.
But I do believe the Vikings, and if I'm him, I'm trying to stay. I'm trying to stay in Minnesota, and I'm trying to be the starter for as long as I can in Minnesota.
But just so he can get Kirk Cousined?
Maybe. I don't know.
They didn't draft McCarthy to sit him.
So you're going to want to go where? I mean, any of the other spots that are looking for quarterback. You're definitely not going back to the Jets.
No, I think Raiders would be a fun spot.
I don't think it's an overreaction.
Okay.
That you're not too far off here. So
okay. And Rich, speaking of the Raiders, they're going to be back in the playoffs next year. Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly now running the offense. They could get Russ in free agency. I know he said he's focused on the Steelers, but get Russ now. And Tom Brady, the vibes are back. Raiders are fun. Jay Felly, Raiders, let's go.
Oh my gosh.
Marshawn Lynch is going to be there.
So who's out? Who's out?
Playoffs?
Yeah.
Chargers are out.
Why do you say that?
Well, they shouldn't have been in. You see what they did in the game against the Texans? I mean, come on.
The Pete Carroll hiring. I love that they kept.
I'm coming around. I'm kind of liking
Pete. They kept the DC as the DC. Max Crosby's probably going to be happy about that, I imagine. I shouldn't speak for him. Christian Wilkins will be back healthy. Brock Bowers. Let's find out who the quarterback is.
Steelers are probably out.
I like Chip Kelly as the hire. By the way, next level Michigan man material out of Tom Brady. Helps his own cause, takes one away from Ohio State. Oh, he worsens Ohio State and strengthens his own hand.
Chip had a really good year. It was
outstanding Michigan Manning work right there, man.
To get himself back in the league.
Chip's back in the league, is the OC in Vegas for Pete Carroll. Maybe he's also sitting there that he could be the coach in waiting once upon it when Pete does maybe hand the reins off. He's part of this whole situation. Maybe Chip gets back in line. It's an HC in the NFL again. You never know.
I think the Raiders, I bet they're going to end up trading up in the draft.
Who wants to live in Columbus anyway?
Guys.
Oh,
sorry to interrupt your Ohio State
how
slacking.
dare you?
That's my bad.
I'm not done with it.
Sorry.
So I don't, but come on, man. I mean, I unless the kid that they draft 6th overall has a Jaden Daniels type experience where you can go from 2nd overall on the clock to the 6th seed,
or they move
into the Final Four of a conference. I mean, I need to see who the quarterback is. This is a tall order, man. But
if it's Shador from week 1 or Cam Ward week 1, then what?
And I need to see how he's playing. I mean, there's a lot of questions, but I do like a lot of the moves the Raiders have made over the last 10 days. That is for sure.
I do too.
I'm high on it, and I appreciate the notion, but I'll have to say it's an overreaction.
I like talking Raiders. The league's better when the Raiders are good.
I agree.
Rich, I know you didn't watch any of it. Coop was locked in. Me and Cage were watching some of it. Every sport should just ditch their all-star game and do a version of the Pro Bowl games.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All-star games are done. Like, it's done. This generation of athletes has killed all-star games.
Including baseball?
Yeah, it used to be competitive. Pete Rose used to run guys over, and like Michael Jordan would take it seriously. And who was Sean Taylor was blowing up punters during the Pro Bowl. Like, it used to matter.
Let me tell you, man, my 13-year-old loved the Pro Bowl games. Loved it. He was locked in from start to finish. He loved seeing the guys having fun and mic'd up and doing stupid stuff and playing tug of war and seeing these guys in a much more relaxed environment. Because if you're going to play, half speed, you might as well take the pads off and put flags on.
Right.
And the NFL did it, and I think it's a smart move. And
the players seem to really enjoy it, and that's all that matters.
I think what the NBA is going to do in another couple of weeks, I think, is going to be a total.
It's going to be a sham. Yeah, we're going to come in here on Monday.
Sharania? What type of sham?
You thought Shams got hacked, didn't you? Because I did.
I did too, yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get to that in a second, I imagine. Yeah, not bad. Baseball, just give it one more try. One more try.
But wouldn't you rather
before
see
like a bunt contest
or guys like who can run to second the fastest? Like, don't you want to see Ellie De La Cruz run around the bases in 12 seconds?
Yes, not bad. But the first thing Major League Baseball should do is put their friggin' regular uniforms back on the players.
I think they are doing that. I think that's been
great
decided.
move. Instead of these nonsense looking like, you shouldn't dress up your all-stars like the Savannah Bananas. You know what I mean?
As much as I
honestly
enjoy the Savannah.
By the way, they're delightful.
They're delightful.
But they're the Savannah Bananas.
Right.
Like
not serious baseball.
It's not right.
Right.
So put your all-stars in their uniforms and make it look like a collection of all-stars from the regular teams all playing collectively. My son and my daughter are not going to say, Dad, please buy me that new National League jersey I saw everyone wear like they look like the Savannah Bananas.
It's terrible. It's terrible. All right, Rich, let's get to it. NBA over the weekend. 2 monster trades. The stunner Saturday night, Luka going from Dallas to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. And, of course, Danny Ainge, that psychopath, was involved as the third team in. And then on Sunday, De'Aaron Fox goes to San Antonio to team up with Wemby. Rich, the Spurs are going to win an NBA championship before the Lakers.
I don't know, man. The Spurs with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox and Chris Paul and the rest of their collection of young stars.
Steven Castle, Devin Vassell.
No, I know. Before the Lakers. Oh, man. I don't know. I great question. LeBron and Luka, what the hell's that going to do? You think they're going to be able to pull it together enough to make a run this year?
No. Unless there's another move coming.
We figure it out.
We still have a few days before the trade deadline in the NBA.
Because once
I wondered if LeBron was getting traded. I mean, they said that he's not.
Yeah, I saw a story basically saying that LeBron has a no trade clause in his 2-year contract and he has no intention of
right. I'd want to play with Luka too, provided he's healthy and in shape. The Lakers got worse,
That's a
though.
big provided.
The Lakers got worse, though, after this trade. They have no rebounding. They don't play any defense. LeBron and Luka are 2 of the worst defenders in the league.
So who's going to be the rim protector?
No idea, unless there's another move coming this week, which I would assume that there would be.
Right, which is why I still don't. By the way, I appreciate you throwing the Spurs in this one. I have no earthly idea. I'll just call it an overreaction and be done with it. But
the Spurs now want to have one of the most exciting 2 young players in the league.
I know, and I understand that Mavericks fans are upset that Luka got sent to Los Angeles. And we'll talk more about it on the flagship show. But if you're saying that Luka's shooting or the one thing the Mavericks are definitely losing is a ticket draw. That's for sure. Okay?
They gave up 91 points in the first half on Sunday. Post this trade.
So I understand that, but don't you think that some of what's lost from Luka's shooting ability and playmaking ability can still be made up by Kyrie? In the same way that who is making up for Anthony Davis's
being an all-world defender when he's out there? Yeah.
And everybody keeps saying, they got some broken down 32, soon to be 32-year-old guy who hardly plays like he's some slappy.
Anthony Davis
have we forgotten how great Anthony Davis is?
He's been awesome this year.
Get out of here.
Yeah, he's been awesome.
So I understand everybody thinks the Mavericks are waving the white flag because they only got 1 first-rounder back. Now, that's the whole thing.
Now, that's what I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand
what they got back for Luka is just insane.
Insane.
Right?
Insane.
And it's not like Anthony Davis is playing for the league minimum either. You know what I mean? It's just it's not like they just sent Luka away for a bag of balls.
Yeah, Anthony Davis has played 42 out of 47 games this year. He's been very durable this season.
Jeez.
I couldn't believe it. Like, the fact that Shams had to tweet a follow-up that, yes, this is real, just everyone assumed he got hacked.
I know. Because it never happens.
And it's 12:30 Eastern on a Saturday night.
There is no, and we'll talk about it more on the flagship and wrap up this show in a sec, that there is no football equivalent. The football equivalent, like who's 6 years older than a guy that's I don't know who the Luka equivalent is in the NFL, and I don't know who the Anthony Davis equivalent is. I know Schefter put out there, this is like Lamar and Joe Burrow being traded for each other. They're not in the same, they're the same age. You know what I mean?
Right. Andrew Siciliano had a really good one. It's like Lamar, Josh Allen being traded for Matthew Stafford.
Stafford's much older, though. Like, this is the.
I don't know.
Stafford's not 6 years older than Allen.
He's like 7 or 8,
right,
I guess.
I mean,
I don't know. I spent all weekend trying to think of an NFL equivalent, and I couldn't.
But it's quarterbers like Luka and Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis plays a different position.
So maybe somebody from Myles Garrett or something?
Maybe. I don't know. There is no equivalent. It's insane.
Like Lamar for Myles Garrett? Because like the Lakers and Mavericks are kind of interconference rivals.
You know, it is just to wrap it. It's like this trade, Luka for Anthony Davis, is like the Alonzo Mourning gif of you shake your head and then I can see it.
All right, I can see it.
I don't understand what they're doing, but I can see it.
I mean, unless Dallas is just so unhappy with Luka, conditioning, injuries, behind the scenes stuff that we just don't know about. I don't know, man. I couldn't believe. I'm still stunned. I know Windhorst called it like the most shocking trade at NBA history on Saturday night. I can't say that he's wrong. It's unbelievable, unprecedented.
Let's wrap this up, bud. What do you got?
All right, so for some stuff, just looking back at Week 12, I thought was kind of interesting. There's 3 good ones. I had the Eagles are the best team in the NFL, and Saquon will be first non-QB MVP.
Dude, that's not too bad.
Kind of nailed that one.
You're not too far off. Now, this was after the Rams game, right? That was right after the Rams game?
So this Week 12 was right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah. That's what it was, yeah.
And then the 2 really bad ones, Cowboys making the playoffs, Commanders are missing it.
When was that? That was Week 12?
Yeah, that was Week 12.
Oh, because the Cowboys were making a nice run. They just beaten the Commanders to start a little bit potentially of hey, you never know.
Yeah, hey, you never know. And I'm like, let's just spice it up a little bit. You know, maybe Cowboys can go on a run.
And then they did.
And Washington would hit a skid. The exact opposite happened.
I don't think Washington lost after that until
the NFC Championship.
The NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
That's how wrong you were.
So that's fun.
Wow.
And then Sam Darnold will have the Vikings in the NFC Championship game. That was the other one. Because they were back on track and really balling. So
the final 2 weeks of that season.
Kind of a bummer. He really had a nice season.
But at least Vikings fans, the trapdoor didn't open up after week 5. Everybody thought, hey, 5-0, here comes 5-12. You know?
Yeah, because when it was 5-2, it was like,
I know.
Yeah,
I know. So at least it's fun. You loved a little bit more before you lost.
Yep.
All right, Susie Schuster and Amy Trask with What the Football. Check that out. That's going to come out later today because the whole crew is heading off to New Orleans for the Super Bowl after Tuesday's show. Their guest is Brent Musburger.
Hey, Musburger, you are looking live.
So it'll be fun talking Super Bowl 59 with a guy who was once upon a time sitting poolside and heard a guarantee at Super Bowl 3.
Wow.
So there's that. 56 years ago.
Wow.
Yep. So lots to talk about with Brent.
Love it.
And then Wednesday's No Contest Wrestling, O'Shea Jackson Jr. along with TJ Jefferson. They were at Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns sat down with them. Paul Heyman sat down with them together.
So cool.
So there's tons of stuff for you to look forward to through the Rich Eisen Podcast Network for the rest of the week. For Chris, I am Rich. We are off to New Orleans again on after Tuesday's show. Yep. Our guest on Wednesday, one of our guests is Myles Garrett.
Oh, hey now, look at that.
We'll stop by our set in New Orleans.
Wow.
Scheduled to appear.
Scheduled. We'll see.
Hopefully he doesn't demand a trade from our roster. All right. For Chris, I'm Rich. See you later. That's Overreaction Monday. See you from New Orleans. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.